I absolutely adore that. That is amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that one covers a lot of grounds with like not too much going on. It's pretty unique, I think.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it sounds extremely Japanese to me. And I don't know why, but just listening to it, like the images that were coming from my head were all like very Japanese inspired. Like I was thinking of Legend of Zelda a little bit. I was thinking of like Spirited Away a little bit.
Big Legend of Zelda vibes, I feel like.
Yeah, especially there's like a more melodic part that reminds me of like classic Legend of Zelda kind of vibes. And then the like seemingly random piano reminds me a lot of like the combat music that plays during Breath of the Wild, which is really interesting.
I picture myself on a train and riding the horse. And I think the horse music from Breath of the Wild kind of fits in with this song with it, the way it's starty and stoppy kind of. It's
interesting. The very like mathy kind of part at the beginning also reminds me a lot of Tigran Hamasyan.
Ooh.
Have you ever heard of?
No.
He was introduced to me by a buddy of mine who is a lot more into jazz than I am. But the specific song that I'm thinking of has a lot of like stop-start piano lines and like some sort of weird like 1816 time like time signature like where it's just extremely hard to follow, but yet also there's like a backbeat groove that almost makes it feel like 4/4. So like it's difficult to follow, but easy to groove to, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, because it's like when I'm trying to like bob my head to it, like it feels like it's 4/4, but feels like there's so much else going on with it. Like, and I'm not a time person, but yeah, I don't know. There's so much. It's almost like you can separate it all easily because of what's happening. They're all doing different things, but it all works together if you kind of unfocus. It's very cool.
Yeah, I like that you say if you unfocus, then you can like. It makes more sense, and it really does. I think that it's a super interesting vibe. And to go back to your thing of like it doesn't sound to you like jazz, I think that there could be an argument. There's definitely an argument to be made that it is jazz. I don't know that I'm the person to make that argument because I am not a jazz person, but I like just the little bit of jazz that I'm familiar with from the outside. It feels like things are moving in a much more almost like expressionist sort of way that is less like classic jazz and more using jazz voicings of things to try to put a stamp on other genres in a new, unique way.
And maybe it's more of the mindset when you're writing it?
I think so. I think it's more about the voicings and the kind of like chords that you use and the way that you stack things up that makes it more jazzy than the exact stylings of it.
Sure. I can buy that.
At least that's my impression of it anyway.
I think that works for me.
I also immediately added that to my like system test playlist.
Nice, yeah.
Just because it's so clean. Like I could imagine just hearing that on like some amazing speakers.
Oh, it is.
And just cranking it up.
There's a couple of venues that got some really nice sound systems, and that's a really good one, especially if you're doing something lighter. Kind of gets you in that vibe and kind of see how like the speakers respond to that kind of sound.
Especially like in a more live room, like if you're doing some sort of like, theater or something like that, and really hearing how the room responds to something that's like super clean and open.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like a lot for me when I'm mixing it, I have to really get into like that zone and like kind of understand where they're coming from. So that this is a band that like whenever I'm doing something quiet or something a little more with nuance, something we were talking about earlier, this is something I'll listen to because everything's very separated. There's not too much stacking. It doesn't feel like they're like over compressing anything. It's just very natural sounding. So this is a song that I listen to and help me get in that zone.
I think that makes sense because also again, generally like live sound tends to be like extremely compressed just to, make it blast through this huge crowd. And for, these lighter genres, you can't rely on that as much. So you kind of have to understand how you can make things work while not relying on the same bag of tricks that you might normally use.
Absolutely. And just like the balance of it all, like everything feels very like not on top of each other. It's all working together, where like some genres, it's like you really need the vocals and the kick stacked on everything.
Welcome to the unofficial audio engineering podcast.
I knew it was going to go this way.
I mean...
We knew we talked. We DM about stuff like this, especially now that since we planned this, we started talking a bit more, and like so we've already kind of done this a little bit.
Yeah, I mean we were talking about what just like that small room, and you were like, is like 85 dB, like does that seem like too quiet? And
yeah. Oh, that's something I'm always. Volume is a big thing. So, and this is a song that helps me kind of stay in that mindset of keep the volume down, let them do the dynamics. You don't have to worry about it so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So my next song is actually a band that I've kind of had in my back pocket for a while. I kept meaning to show them off on the show at some point and just kind of never got around to it. But I actually found this band. They're called Oceanator. And I found this band because they were opening up for Pup on their tour that I saw them at like 6-7 months ago. And they're just an absolutely amazing kind of like, I guess I would say like alt-punk band would be the best way to describe their music. But this song is called Beach Days off of I believe their most recent record.
I love it.